Welcome and hello everyone. This is Professor Shashikant Pathak from National Institute of Education. Today I'm going to talk about polynomials. So the first question is that what is a polynomial and how polynomials are defined. So let's write down the term polynomial first and just divide this word into two parts. The first part is poly. Poly basically represents here many, and nomials represent normally as term. So which in other words I can write here that represents here basically many terms. So this is a literal meaning of polynomials. Let's take a typical example here, something like maybe 2x squared minus 4x plus 10. Let's understand what does it mean and how polynomials are written. This is a polynomial where 2 is a coefficient, is a constant number, of course, and x is a variable. This is a variable. This is a variable here. 2 here is used as an exponent here. 4 is again a coefficient of x, and 10 is a constant. So it has three terms, 1, 2, and 3. So this is how the polynomials are in general written. Now, the good question here is that how polynomials are constructed. So by definition, polynomial is constructed on the basis using basically it is an expression, and it uses variables. So let's write down variables and constants, as you have seen in this expression here, that it has variables and constants, so these two. But then the operations which we normally use for constructing polynomial, these are addition, that's number one, and then we have subtraction, and we also have multiplication. Now division is also a part of polynomial function, but it is restricted somehow or the other. So let's understand why it is restricted here. So let's write down division here and understand why division is restricted. So division by a constant, let's say 5, 9, 25, whatever, is allowed, but division by a variable, by x, y, or maybe z, is not allowed. So that's a good question, that why it is not allowed and why it is allowed. So let's take an example here, or let's summarize first quickly here to understand that why by constant it is allowed, why by a variable not allowed. Basically what happens, any number, any constant you take, either 5, 9, or 25, the multiplicative inverse of this non-zero constant is also a constant. So basically if I take an equation here, that would make it more clear. But before that, I would prefer to summarize this part here quickly for you to understand. So number one is that we use variables for defining polynomials, and for example, I can write this as x, y. We use constants, and constants could be like, for example, maybe 3, minus 20, or 15. And then we can also have exponents. Exponents could be any number, like for example 2 in 6x to the power 2. That's possible, but there's a condition that it has to be only 0, 1, 2, 3, the whole numbers, not with, and also not with negative sign, not with negative sign. So I'll talk about this a little later, that why it is allowed and why it is not allowed. So for example, if I choose here, let's say if I have here 6x to the power minus 2, then if this term is coming in your polynomial function, then this term is not allowed because it contains -2 here. That's why exponents with a negative number is not allowed. Similarly, exponents also, so this is the first part of the exponent, and the second part, exponent also, somewhere if the exponent is with an under root, for example 5x to the power 3 by 2 is also not allowed, because this is also not permitted. So let's take one example here and move further to understand this part a little bit more in details. So if I choose x squared minus x by 6 plus 8, and then if I rewrite this as x squared minus 6 by x plus 8, and I'm also using a term here, let's say this has a power 3 by 2. Now this equation here, or this expression here, these are two expressions, different expressions. This expression is a polynomial. But then this expression, the another one I'm talking about, this one is not a polynomial. Not a polynomial. And then the good question here is that why it is not a polynomial, because we have here x by 6, which is permitted because 6 is a constant here, but then here we have 6 by x, which is not permitted because x is coming in denominator, which is a variable. So by the variable in denominator is not allowed, and also this has a power, so it's not allowed. So let's do a quick quiz here. So if I have a term like 5x squared, is it a polynomial term? Yes, it is, because it has exponent, it has 5, and exponent is positive. Let's take 3x minus 2. Is it an exponential term? Oh, sorry, polynomial term? Yes, it is not a polynomial term because it has -2 here in numerator. Now let's see, 1 upon x, is it a polynomial term? No, it is not. Again, polynomial is coming in denominator. And then we have, I can take an example here, let's say 2x to the power 5 by 2, which is again, this has under root here, but then the under root is not allowed, so again this is not a polynomial term. So the other properties of polynomial function could be used, that addition of two polynomials is another polynomial. That's one property. In the same way, if there is a multiplication of two polynomials, and then again this multiplication, let's write down, multiplication of two polynomials is again a multiplication. So that means after having lots of addition and multiplication, net result will again still be a polynomial. That's all for this presentation. So please do not forget to check out my other presentations, and we'll be talking more about polynomials in part 2, especially the polynomial functions. Thank you.